Hello, hello, hello. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Hey team. Hello team. Hello team. Hello team. Good evening, good evening, good evening guys. Good evening. Nice to see all you people in the house. Good evening everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. The time right now is 9:33 p.m. everyone. Yes, 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 yes. And great to see all you people in the house. Great to see everybody. The time is right now 9:33 and we are today in our day 4 and it's going to give massive learning everyone. So I would really like you people to make the most of today, okay? So it's going to be very useful for everyone who is like in the industry or looking for the job. It's going to be a relief and a nice learning experience for everybody to understand what exactly IT expects from you people. Okay. So good evening. Nice to see you people. Banu, Pooja, Shaileja, Soni, Alok, Satya Prakash, Nagarjuna, Sai, Pavan, Deepak, everybody. Nice, 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 nice. Okay. So chalo guys, let's get started with the day today. Okay. So guys, as part of today's session, okay, we are going to discuss about what industry actually expects when a candidate comes in for interview. Okay, so you have been a lot of times talking about uh, okay, yeah, you have been a lot of times talking about the your side of things. Okay, when you go in for interview, what exactly happens, how exactly to deal with it. But as part of today's session, I am going to cover the other side of things as well. Okay, so this is what it is from the point of view of interview. And yeah, it's a 2 week workshop. So every single day the focus is going to be on different things. So don't expect like in the same day you will get it all, because for all those people who are looking for shortcuts, I basically don't want to give them everything in the single day. I want to test the patience of the people. So over a period of time, those who drop and disappear, I personally want that they should not get the benefit from the session. That's where I don't try to put everything in the same bucket. I am testing who deserve to get the content and who has the patience enough to understand and really work towards for this kind of thing. So my strategy is already running behind the screen, people. Okay, so yeah, so basically if you are here today, basically you deserve it, you earn it, and that's where you are here. And as part of the entire 2 week program, every single day will be a huge value add. But again, those who deserve it, only they will get it, not everyone. And I would be happy to see people dropping off, because if people don't deserve, basically the world will not give them opportunities anyways, and I belong in the same category, I will not as well. Okay, fine. So as part of today's session, chalo straight away, let's get started to the topic. Okay, so when we say cracking the interview, so today I'm going to speak about what industry expects from all you people. Okay, there are multiple rounds. You try as a fresher, you try as experienced, and on an average it is summarized. Okay, after interviewing a lot of candidates, after doing it for a lot of projects, it came to a summary like, okay, this is what we focus upon. Okay, there will be multiple rounds happening. As part of today, we are going to touch through all the rounds as well, like when the HR calls, when the coding round is happening, when the technical face-to-face round happens, maybe multiple rounds there might happen. Then the project manager round is going to happen, the HR discussion is going to happen. So different companies have different criterias, how many rounds they will take, what will happen in each of the round. So it completely depends on projects to projects, companies to companies. Okay, but as part of today's session, I'm going to give you guys a summarized value of things, okay, which is pretty generic enough, which you can really apply it and get the maximum benefit of it. Okay, so guys, today I've spent some time for giving you guys the right value. I've spent some time in preparing some presentation which I want to share with you guys. So I'll be sharing my screen, and then we'll walk through this presentation, and point by point we will understand each and everything. Okay, and that's where I feel it's going to be very useful session for everybody. So let me just share up my screen and we will then get started for the day. Okay, Fine, fine, fine. Here we go. Okay, everybody. So is the screen visible, guys? Is the screen visible? Are you able to see this presentation? Yeah. Are you able to see? Let me actually go to my mobile device to see whether we are able to get the view in here. Okay, everybody. So I'll be checking just here in my device, so just to see like it's working. Yeah, it's all good, right? So the sound is also good, right? You're able to see hear it through as well. Okay, so I'm doing mic testing for myself as well. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so fine. So without consuming further much time, chalo, let's get started with the topic for the day, team. Okay, so first of all, interview preparation strategies. Okay, so let's say you belong into the coding category. Okay, UI server. First, I'll talk about that. Then I'll even touch today the QA division as well. So we are going to speak for three divisions today: UI developer, server developer, QA division. Okay, all the three guys will be covered. Fine. Now, first of all, let's focus about UI and the server things. Okay, fine. So chalo, let's get started. UI and the server. So one by one, I'll be sliding through the things here. Okay, I think, let's see, I think there should be a full screen option, a full screen mode. Yep. Okay, fine. So chalo, so primarily three things we are going to focus upon today. Okay, okay, when you get into the coding aspect of things, so as a UI person and as a server person, what exactly the industry expects, whether you are a fresher or whether you are experienced, guys, whether you are 3 years experience, 5 years experience, 8 years experience, the intensity just keeps increasing, but the basic parameters remain same, guys. Okay, few things might be added, removed, but the basic nature of things remain the same. But the perfection, the speed by which you think and come to conclusion, that keeps changing from person to person. So primarily there would be three things. So when you are a UI developer and a server developer, we focus whenever a coding assignment is given to you, okay, or whenever you come in for interview and we ask you questions, so the primary thing which we are looking towards is these three aspects. Okay, functional aspect, coding discipline, and the design aspect of the things. So guys, whenever next time, whenever you go in for interviews, when you're writing something, okay, when you're writing something, or like coding any application, or on paper coding or on computer coding, try to cover all these three areas, because whether we say it or not, behind the screen we are expecting it. Sometimes what many people do is they come, they code the application functionally, we give only problem statement, or the question is given just with a functional expectation, like, okay, write a program or write an application to do so and so thing. Now guys, that's just a functional achievement. Now, based on the maturity of the individual, whether he's 2 years, 4 years, fresher, the way he solves the problem will be different. And in the time of interview, we are looking at that. So there might be many people, they might complete the program functionally, but they might not follow the coding discipline, they might not follow the design aspect, and then they will be getting affected. So these things we will not tell, but we observe. So that is where, guys, when you start writing, you need to focus on all these three aspects: functional aspect, coding aspect, and the design aspect. Now, what exactly all these three things mean? Okay, fine. Let's start taking it up one by one. Okay, so first of all, the functional aspect of things. Okay, now what do we expect? Okay, how complete the candidate is able to functionally complete the requirements. Okay, now, so whenever we give you a requirement, so every project is nothing but a functional requirement. So when we give you a requirement, we want to check to what extent you have coded the application completely. Okay, and guys, sometimes the expectation goes to this point: we want you to write a fully working code which is not having any bugs and it is production ready. Now guys, you can imagine what is this expectation: fully ready code which is not having bugs and even production ready. Many big organizations, let me tell you, many big organizations, when they give you a coding assignment, they expect it to be this complete, nothing but not just a partially done. You might not even know why you are not selected. The reason might be your code is just covering only 50% of the requirement. Lot of edge cases might be not covered, corner cases might be not covered. That's where sometimes many projects, whenever you are given a coding assignment, try to complete the code to a bug free manner, try to cover each and every corner case as possible, make it production ready code. Focus on that, guys. Okay, even though if you are in a face-to-face interview, so written interview, guys, when there is a written test for you, and that time you have to definitely do this. But even when face-to-face is happening, try to cover all the corner cases. What is corner case, right? Like if the null comes, if negative value comes, if the boundary condition happens, is your code handling it all properly? So all of those things will be considered. Okay, next. Okay, sometimes now some companies in the time of interview, they expect you to write test cases as well. Okay, they expect you to write test cases. Okay, and when you execute the test cases, when you're executing the application, what was the output of the application, we even expect you to attach that. So generally, basically, in the current time when there is remote interviews and all that happening, so we want to be as complete as possible, because physical nahi ho raha hai, right, appearances. So you need to at times, yes, complete, even write unit test cases for the code which you have written. You have to execute it, collect up the results what happened, and even give that. The code plus unit testing might be expected. If you are having experience of even 2 years, 3 years, these things might become mandatory. Sometimes for fresher also, when a coding assignment is given, these things are asked. But the primary nature is whether you are meeting the functional requirements. So I want you people to focus on that as the primary thing. Okay, now moving on. So guys, functional requirement, whatever comes as a functional requirement, develop an application where you can do maybe payment, or where you can send an email, or where you can send an OTP, or where you can, like, by the end of day do some batch processing. Any kind of a functional requirement might come, but we want you to write production ready code. So go to that level of details. Okay, try to cover it completely. Moving on further. Okay, coding discipline. Now guys, many people don't really care or ignore this fact, and that is a primary reason why many people get rejected. So coding discipline, guys, nothing but performance. Is your code having unnecessary looping? Okay, unnecessary looping, unnecessary variable creations and all, is that there in the code? That is nothing but runtime and the space time complexity. Sometimes, like, unnecessary people are deriving data structures for holding the data, and for ke andar for loop multiple times they are doing. That is nothing but time and space complexity. Okay, so guys, try to write some optimized manner code, so that unnecessary looping is not there, unnecessary, you are not taking up a lot of space, because for some project these things become really critical. So try to care about that. Okay, next, understand this. Optimize the code and check for the edge cases, null cases, happy cases, and boundary conditions, basically. Okay, so when you're writing coding, try to get into a bit details about all these things. What will happen if the array list is coming empty? How the code should run? If the input is coming as null, what should be the behavior? The system should not throw like null pointer exceptions. Okay, when the boundary conditions, edge cases are boundary, happy case scenarios, negative case scenarios, all of that is going to be focused upon, guys. And that talks how mature way you are coding the application. So guys, with freshers, we might be okay. Even if they're not covering all, we might be okay. Chalo, theek hai, that's fine. He's a fresher. But when you are saying 3 years of experience, now expectation, guys, increases automatically. With 2 years also, we will expect. But that's what, guys, based on your experience, the level of completion of these things will be different. Okay, but I would suggest, whether you're fresher or experienced, try to be good in all this, because it would be required throughout. Next, moving on, the syntax. Many people, they are like, I can write pseudo code, I don't remember the syntax. Straight away, what does that mean? Okay, you're not a regular coder. Okay, if you don't remember the syntax of a programming language, that means you're not a regular coder. A person who codes daily knows it daily, so that's already a negative impact. Okay, so focus about your syntax, the values which you are returning, what should come as the input parameter, what should go as the return value, the functional declarations. Okay, all these things are very important. Sometimes if you can write recursive code, well and good. So try to cover these aspect of the things. So guys, here I want to tell you people something. When you're writing function declarations and all, or method declarations, be it on the UI side on the server side, focus about what is the name you are following, the name of the method, what parameters are coming in, are you unnecessarily calling some parameters, what value are you returning back. Okay, so these kind of things, what objects are you returning back, these things we very carefully observe. Sometimes we might not even tell you that we are observing, sometimes you might not even know that we are observing, but these kind of things we have to observe. So guys, generally when you're writing function declarations, focus about what is the name you are following, what is the parameters you are returning back, what objects are you returning back. So these kind of things we have to observe. Okay, so guys, generally when you're writing function declarations, focus about what is the name you are following, what objects are you returning back, what parameters are you returning back. Is the screen stuck, guys? Okay, I think, did we connect back, team? Okay, fine, 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 fine. Okay, some I think network blip, everybody. Okay, fine. Now we are back again live. Okay, so I was just checking it out. Fine, let's continue. Okay, now guys, the next focus is going to be about the error handling. Okay, so while we talk about the error handling, so it is all about key. Are you writing code in a manner key where all the errors which can come up, how do you use exceptions in the system? Okay, how do you use exceptions in the system? We focus on that. Second, what is the structure of error that you are returning back? Okay, generally this is more important for experienced people. Okay, for experienced people this is required. What is the error response? Nothing but guys, what will happen is, okay, let's understand. The server people as well as the UI people understand this very carefully. Whenever you write a method, right, maybe you're writing a spring controller. Okay, so when that method is called from UI or from the outer library, when that API or the REST endpoint is called from the outer, internally in the system multiple errors can be possible, right? Exception is coming, null pointer is happening, or sometimes field validation failures on the server side is happening. So for multiple use cases, lot of errors can be expected in the system. Like for example, let's say there is a business requirement, like age should be beyond 18, then only you should do some API processing. Nothing but this is a business validation which will come on the server. So if the age is less than 18, we will return an error back. So now guys, what will happen is, how do you return error? So when you are covering these edge cases or the corner cases, how do you return an error from the API? That is also focused. So guys, generally there is a standard convention. There might be at times status involved, success or fail. There might be error code involved, error message involved. So that is also a pattern. So how do you write, return back the responses? People is going to focus on that as well. Okay, so just know it. If you don't know it, Google it out. At times, some of the projects use HTTP codes only for errors. Nothing but 200. Okay, so that is success. 400 series, 500 series, these are all error from the HTTP codes. So sometimes for error codes, people use that itself. So at times when you're having experience, these kind of questions will be asked to you as well. And that shows maturity about how real-time exposure you have. Okay, fine. Moving on further, guys. The naming conventions, even as a fresher, okay, never, guys, never, ever, ever, whenever you're writing any code assignment, name any variable as A, B, something like that. No, never do that. Even as a fresher, guys, you need to follow naming patterns, logical naming of your variables, no matter what programming you're following, but don't use A, B, C, D kind of thing. That straight away says your immaturity. Okay, so focus about the naming, logically name the class, logically name the methods, logically name the fields. Everything is very important. That shows your maturity basically. Next, yeah, that's what we are talking about, logical naming. Sometimes, guys, the focus is also going to be on how code you write. Okay, nothing but that is code formatting. So guys, this is also going to become one important aspect, code formatting. Nothing but indentation, like how is your code organized? Are you like writing dirty code, everything in the single method and just throw hote ja raha hai, and your code is not having proper alignment? Where are you giving enters? All those things also at times get considered. So if you're not aware of it, just see what are the basic coding standards in Java or any programming that you're having, and you will be getting these things. So that shows the maturity. बोलने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है, but not having it, we directly understand, okay, the person में gap है, okay, that person is not able to really make sense of all of this. Okay, next, guys, this is important again. Never hard code in the system. Again, that shows your immaturity. Even though if you are a 1 year of experience person, hard coding is a really bad thing. Freshers, we might be okay with that, but if you claim experience in projects, we don't hard code. The same requirement. What is hard coding? The same requirement. Like if the age is more than 18, then only process the API. Otherwise, don't process the API. If that logic was there, so the 18 number, if you write it in the code itself, if incoming age equal to 1 8, then something else something, if you write the code like that, that means it is hard coded. The value 18 is hard coded in the system. So you should not do that. Okay, you should not do that. Rather, you should go in a different manner. Define a separate static file. Okay, public static class, or an in interface, people define some static variables. Okay, so final static variables, which as constants people define it, and in that constant they'll say valid age or allowed underscore age is equal to 18, and in the code they will use that reference variable. That by that way people avoid any hard codings in the system. Nothing but that becomes a more configurable value. So just understand, try to follow these disciplines as well. Okay, next, moving on further, try to use some enums. This all shows your maturity. Try to define some constants and use. So when you do this, it shows that, okay, person can actually code and think in practical terms. So guys, when you claim gap as experience, the level of having these things become more required. So guys, क्या होता है? People just complete the application functionally, give it, and expect that, hey, I am done with my work. But you know what? They miss on many of these areas, and then the code doesn't pass through, and then people don't get qualified. Okay, so focus on these things as well when you're doing the process further. Okay, now let's move on to the third, what we said. Okay, functionally, next coding wise, and now moving further into the design aspect of things. This is also very important. Right from fresher person onwards, this will come, because when you say I know Java or anything like that, so the oops is the basic inherent property, yes or no, right? So oops is the basic inherent quality. We start asking questions from there itself. Now, guys, one thing, with fresher, we might be okay to understand theoretical explanation from them, and then to some extent, like, okay, can they code it practically? So when you say encapsulation, do you actually mean what is encapsulation, and can you code encapsulation? When you say polymorphism, do you understand what it is, and can you code polymorphism? Guys, you need to understand, IT industry has evolved a lot. Theoretical answers will not be considered anymore if you are in a good organization. Like, theory kya karna hai, guys? We are not doing a test here, right? We need you people to understand and implement. So that is where, guys, everything you should be able to practically convert it into code. That is the expectation. So when you say any oops principles right from today, even as a fresher onwards, don't just theoretically explain. Spend some time in how do you convert it into code. That is very important with regards to all the concepts of oops. Okay, so just understand that. So every of the parameter abstraction, what is that? How can you code abstraction? Can you like in the past project, have you used what are the oops principles which you have used in the past projects? So these kind of things, can you explain with example, where did you use polymorphism in the last project? These kind of questions will be there. That shows your maturity. Yeah, you know, not only theoretically know it, but practically know. If we ask this question, okay, in your past project, where did you apply encapsulation? Can you explain it with example? Okay, freshers will not, maybe juniors 6 months, they will be like, what should I say? With more experience, with us about polymorphism and abstraction things, so we need theoretical plus practically. You should be like very fluently. If there is hesitation, we know that a mug up kiya hai, doesn't know things, so we can sense it easily, guys. Okay, fine. Now let's focus about when your experience starts growing. So as a fresher, guys, oops and practical implementation of oops required. But when you say 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience, 4 years of experience, so then your design and modularity becomes very important. Even maybe at times with 1 year of experience also. Guys, you need to understand when you are a fresher, okay? When you are a fresher, when you are in your college, whenever you code something, what do? एक क्लास के अंदर मेथड में लिखो लिखो, just keep on writing, dumping logic there without any meaning, dumping logic there. Is what is happening. Such kind of code will never be taken for production. Are you understanding? Functionally completing the project is never going to just work out for you. You need to design and in a modular manner, and with growing experience, this is a mandatory thing for you. We don't expect childhood kind of culture, right, with you have experience. So when the written test is given to you, or when the coding assignment is given to you, or even though in face to face when you're writing anything, if you claim even gap as experience, be good in design and modularity. You might be like, अरे यार क्या करना चाहिए? Guys, these things come with practice. You have to spend some time doing hard work in reading about designing and modularity, about how things work. But some of the basic thing is this, where I've just completed what exactly we look for from design and modularity principle. First of all, break the code into manageable pieces. Don't write everything in the same class, same method. Logically group it into functions, into different other classes. Logically, everything is common sense. Put common sense into coding, you will be able to design the system. Okay, put common sense into coding and you can design really nice systems. Okay, donkey work systems will not work, guys. थोड़ा सा sense apply करना पड़ेगा. What is easy for clarity, there is no standard for it. Everything is presence of mind. So like that. Next, reusability. Nothing but if you are encountering that multiple places in the application the same code is repeated multiple times, like for example reading a file, that logic is there at 10 places in the code. Don't do that. That's redundant coding. Write it into some utility class where there is like just one input. You give the file path as the input and it is going to give you a byte array back, something like that, right? So that method become one time places. By that way, try to reuse wherever reusability is possible. Okay, because in future if any modification needs to happen, right now you're reading from file, and the file supports only a PDF version. In future you want to add a Word document version only, the changes would be narrowed down into a single place. That is where we expect these kind of things from you people. Next, readability and ease of understanding. So जो भी लिखे हो guys, it should be readable. In IT, code review is going to happen, and guys the expectation क्या होता है मालूम क्या? Whatever code you write, without your explanation, they should be able to understand the code. And that is where when you write even in interview process, sometimes you are giving your home assignment, complete this assignment in like 2 days and give us back the code. So we don't expect that you come and explain your code to us. That means your code is not in a understandable format. And if your code is not in understandable format, you need to understand this simple thing, guys. You are not writing the code just for yourself. The code is going to go to production in future, and maybe some other person will be maintaining and modifying your code. If they cannot understand the code, what is the meaning of just completing the functionality? So for that reason, readability is also cared about. What is readability? Like ease of understanding, sub methods where you're creating proper line breaks happening in between. Like read karte it should not be required that you come and explain about even your flow in the system. Okay, so this is what it is. So just that's your problem statement. How do you achieve it? You figure it out. Next, size of the code in like how many lines you're writing now. Okay, now guys, with growing experience, 1 years, 2 years, 3 years, the usage of design patterns start improving in the system. Okay, the usage of design patterns. So with freshers thoda boda bol donge, that's fine. But when you claim experience, we want you to know about design patterns. And again guys, not theoretically, practically. That if we ask you some question, you should be able to demonstrate in the code. And mostly it would be like not just code. That means you have just read some tutorials and putting it. We would be more interested, how did you implement these design patterns in the past projects? So when you claim gap as experience, you need to relate it with the past projects. If you're not relating with the past projects, we know that you don't even know what design pattern is, even though you're theoretically answering it correct. But if you cannot implement it, we know that you're not good in the design pattern. That itself, you're not qualified for design pattern answer then. Even if you're answering correct, you cannot convert it into practicals, right? And with growing experience, expectation becomes grow more there. So understand that part as well. So freshers के लिए चलेगा. So even if you're doing to smaller extent, that's fine enough, we will be okay with that. But with experience guys, please work on that. Yeah. And yeah, similarly, overloading, overriding, practical, just know it. IT industry has evolved so much. We want you things to do practically, no longer theoretical explanations. And if you cannot code practically, many times I have given feedbacks, reason for rejection, very good in theoretical concepts but cannot convert it into code, rejected. Many times many candidates come like that. Okay, because they are just, they don't know what they are even understanding or not, guys. Just किसी ने बोल दे, that's it. So such people will not be recommended, right? So understand very simple things here. Okay, now let me move on further. So these are the basic three things which you focus about. Functionally completing every time whenever you write code in the interview, or even when you're talking to somebody, you need to try to cover all the three aspects: functionally, the coding standards, and then design aspect of the application. If you complete all these three, being a UI person or a server person, sense of maturity with evolve with you, and more success rate of converting it into any interview will happen. Even your talks may, you will be reflecting maturity. Okay, now further, let's go further. The time right now is already 10. We have 30 more minutes to go. We need to talk about some more aspects now. Okay, the major portion was this. Okay, now some more aspects, guys. Now understand all the UI developers in the house. Okay, so guys, do we have any UI person? Can you just comment it here? Do we have UI guys in the house right now? Okay, so just type yes in the chat box. So based on if there are many people, I'll spend some time. Otherwise, I'll just give an overview and then we'll move on further. Okay, so fine, just write all the UI developers in the house. Just write it here. Okay, and I'll just like to start with the high level stuff, which is anyways required. First of all, the decision to whether be a UI developer or a server developer, it's completely part of your interest. Okay, if you like design aspect of things, matlab coloring, okay, drawings, paintings, if that is your taste, UI is a very right field for you, because it's like art. Then job will not be a job will become an art for you. Areva, customers will like this, customers will not like that. Okay, if you're going to Amazon, how you can have attractive colors there, all of that is going to become a very nice art for you. Then job will no longer become a job. Okay, fine, we have Sonu, we have Satya Prakash, Sony, Suraj Kumar, Santoshi. Very good, very good. So we have a few UI guys. So I'll give you some proper valuable stuff. So yes, so that's the decision making. If you enjoy doing UI, UI is the thing. If you enjoy much on the server aspect of things, that is your area. Now, for all the people in the house, okay, Jagat as well, okay. So first of all, understand UI development, which when it comes to development of UI, it is basically two roles, UI and UX. Okay, UX is nothing but it doesn't include much of coding. It is about designing. Okay, so if you say it's a UX developer, what would that mean? There will be some dedicated designations for UX developer. They will just use some tool, okay, maybe Adobe XD tool or some other tool, and as part of that they will give you requirements. Okay, develop the system in this particular manner, like this should be your text box, error messages should come here, okay, font size should be like this, font should be of this font style should be of this nature, logos should be like this, bright up the color, low up the color, all that drama, the mockups will be designed by UX developer, and that is a completely different role. Okay, but if you join some startups, you will get a chance to even think and design your own UI design as well. If the company is a small scale company, they will not hire these roles. Basically, when the projects evolve, then this role become mandatory. But for other, just to start with the business, one person with a good design sense and who can code in UI, that would be required. So I want you people all who are available right now focusing on the UI, be good in this aspect. Thoda design sense so hona chahiye, what looks good, what looks bad. Even if the designer is giving you something, you should be able to like, no, this is looking not looking good. So you need to have your perception. But now moreover, let's talk about the UI world from the developer aspect. Guys, there are two things again here. First is HTML and CSS part. The second is the logic part. So UI is also having two pieces. One is the styling side of the UI. Another one is the functional completion side of the UI. Now guys, what happens, this is where you ask a logical question. Even this applies on the server side as well, and I will give more examples. But this is really bad in the IT industry. Okay, somebody walks into interview and says, hey, I am an HTML CSS guy, I'm a styling expert. Okay, somebody comes and to interview and says, hey, I know JavaScript and Angular, I can code in that, but I'm not good in styling. Like, people are coming like that, the market is having like that. When we are doing so many job hunts, genuine real-time people, 3 years of experience, 5 years of experience, coming with only one expertise, saying I am only HTML CSS, some are saying only I am Angular and JavaScript. Guys, what do we do with like half of people? Should we give you half of salary, man? Common sense lagao. We need one person who can work on all of this. Who is going to hire two person for the same job? Are you nuts? IT people are not understanding the simple common sense thing. Okay, and that's where very shabby market. So if you want to get into a UI job, you be good in all these four areas. Be confident in that ability to code. I know that definitely you'll crack many interviews because people don't have that common together skill set, which is very good. Average hai sab jagah, that is very bad. So I want that. Personally speaking, set yourself targets. When you say you are a UI developer, maybe in a few months from now, be good in all of these things, not one particular section. It's very horrible. I know how irritating that is. That's where I'm telling it to you people. Okay. So HTML, the styling part, HTML, CSS, and then the logic related part, the JavaScript. Next, there will be some frameworks also coming. So for styling, there is Bootstrap kind of frameworks. So be aware of that. From server side, there is React JS, there is Angular. So these are the servers. So the way Spring and Hibernate kind of frameworks are there. So in this world also, there are frameworks. So with more experience, you should know these frameworks as well. Next, you should be able to independently solve problems. Independently solve problems. Don't become a baggage on the system. Google it, figure it out, solve it for yourself. Don't take too much time in problem solving. Very important. Design says we already spoken about. Now the last one is standards. Okay, standards nothing but guys, in the UI, the way server may design patterns and lot of things, server world has evolved very much. All of that applies into UI side as well. So I want you people, when you're writing your components, for example, in Angular, you will write some components. When the framework, some components, logic will be written. Like JavaScript, what you can write methods and all of those things. You need to follow some standards. You need to follow some discipline. Don't just mess up with your code, especially when you claim gap as experience. For fresher, it is fine. For fresher, it is fine because they don't know. But even as a fresher, if you can Google and really know some standards, that shows the sense of maturity, and we would be more happy to hire you compared to other freshers. Okay, so understand this. And server mein, there are a lot of standards well defined. In UI, these standards are not very properly followed by people. That is where if you follow, you will be a star already in the interview. So focus on these aspects and try to be good in both the areas. Try to be fast. Don't take too much time, because I think UI work is a lot of exploring work. Free tools will be available, free components will be available. You should like fastly solve the problems. And simple task I will give you, guys: pick up any beautiful website that you see, Amazon, Facebook, any kind of website. Start designing that page. Some day ago in LinkedIn, I saw a post. Somebody created a web version of this WhatsApp. वेब व्हाट्सएप को उसने बना दिया पूरा का पूरा सेम वे, फंक्शनली पूरा का पूरा सेम काम कर रहा है. So guys, you can take up your own projects and start working on that. Try to mimic any real life example. When you go in interview, try to showcase that. Huge value add will come for you. Let me tell you, guaranteed. It would show like you're different. Otherwise, बाकी सब लोग dumb है. Okay, fine, you'll be different. Now, fine, moving on. Okay, let's move on to the server aspect of things. Now, guys, I want to tell you people something. Server mein there are two things, with freshers and with experience. So this slide primarily talks about those having even maybe 2 years of experience. Okay, for freshers ke liye, I'll talk about freshers part, but this slide is for experienced people basically. Okay, even if freshers, if you have this knowledge, well and good, but with experience we are expecting you to know something about it. Not knowing may we feel like, oh, then what to do with this person. Okay, because these things are becoming now almost very common for many projects. Without these things, almost projects are not existing, or very limited projects existing which don't need all this. Again, everything is situational, guys. Everything is situational. Project to project story differs, but you should know these things. It is good for your profile. Even if you have not worked, तो थोड़ा सा R&D करके you need to start adding. First, let's talk about freshers. Okay, from the server aspect of freshers, and even if you have experience, we expect you people to be very good in core Java. I'm talking about Java as the primary technology here. Okay, so but if you relate it to anything like Python or any other thing, you need to focus like the core is very strong. Rest everything is a wrapper on top of the core knowledge. Okay, so regardless of whatever server side technology it is, be very good in the core ethics. Similarly, guys, JavaScript wale UI public, be very good in the JavaScript concepts. Okay, this is what it is. Some people are good in Angular, they are not good in JavaScript. That's bad, right? How does it sound? You're good in Spring, but you're not good in core Java. Doesn't work out. Okay, so fine, guys, that's where be good in the core concepts. So when it comes to the core concepts, especially talking about Java, so it means all the syntax and multiple things about final variables, static variables, volatile, and all those basic natures. Okay, and then two primary aspects will be covered about data structures and multi-threaded systems. So how the multi-threading works, and how can threads be organized, thread pool related knowledge will be expected. How does the locking and all that is going to work out, object level, class level, all that drama is going to be expected there. When you come to the data structures, the basic of data structure every company requires, right? So hash map or hash set, array list. Okay, when to go for a tree kind of structure, when to go for a linked list kind of structure. Wo common sense of all of those data structures should be there with you. And maybe some other things like, okay, so like how do you apply these data structures for your coding? This is basic. Okay, every company will have it. Okay, now there are extreme further levels of it. Now company to company, people might be like, okay, can you implement your own data structures of this? Okay, or people might be like or people might be ki, okay, in the current data structure hash map works like this, I want you people to customize the behavior of a hash map. So with 3 years of experience, such kind of question might come. So thoda sa, that means you can understand, you can think, you can on the fly think some tweakings. So I have many times done it. Okay, tweak the nature of a stack for me. The core nature is something, but I give an additional requirement. Okay, tweak this nature. Okay, and then accordingly I see like how a candidate solves the problem basically. So ऐसे kind of things will expect, and that shows how grip you have on your data structures. So these three very important thing. Along with that, coding aspects pe focus karo. And then guys, if in your company you're primarily being targeted for Spring related things, there will be expectations of Spring. If you say microservices, there will be expectations of microservices as well. But with fresher, basic is fine, but core Java mein no compromise even as a fresher. Oops concept, no compromise even as a fresher. Web technologies, no compromise even as a fresher. REST endpoints, servers, Tomcats, these are all basic now. Okay, web world is a basic world now, so be good in that. Now talking about further thing. Okay, now many people, okay, many people, yeah, Adil Khan, अभी भाई आदिल खान को पकड़ते हैं, ठीक है. I have good knowledge in Oracle, ठीक है. And let me tell you guys, there are many people, they say I am a database developer. I am a database developer. Guys, practically in my past 10 years, I have never seen any role in my working company and my environment called as a database developer. That does not mean it doesn't exist. It exists, but it is very limited projects and very limited scope. Okay. You need to understand, guys, I have always seen the server developer always doing the database programming, and that is what I am expecting from experienced people as well. You should be, as a Java server person, you should be able to write queries, you should be able to write procedures, you should be able to define primary keys, you should be able to define indexes, you should be able to call maybe triggers. होना चाहिए. You should be able to functionally use a database end to end. That is the expectation from a server person. You cannot say there was a separate team, guys. The separate team might be 10 years ago. Right now I've never seen it. And what should we do? Should we hire a different person for coding a PL/SQL procedure because you cannot do it? Practically not possible. Another person comes for interview, says I can do it, we hire him. Yes or no? So it is your responsibility to learn that. It is your responsibility to learn that. Similarly, if there are people who are just saying, I am only good in RDBMS, Oracle and MySQL kind of stuff, I can write procedures, this, that. But guys, let me tell you, very few projects might be there where there is a dedicated role for these activities. As a SQL developer, the only defined role which I find logical is the DBA role, database administrator. That role is challenging. For that role, if you want to have a career, that is a good area. But otherwise, just having this role, market mein opportunities will be limited, and that is what is going to happen. Opportunities will be limited. There might be projects, there might be companies, but don't expect server wale bahut milenge, and specifically only single-handedly this dealing, you will find it less. So it's your choice basically whether you want to continue or not. People make this decision because it is easy to learn. In 2 months you can do it, but look at the practical implementation aspect. And that too, some people are saying like it needs more experience, like 2 years, 3 years. And maybe even if you have that experience, nahi chalega. Fresher mein kya karenge leke wahan pe yaar? Java के बंदे कर सकते हैं वो काम, then why should we hire you for that? So there is, I don't know whether there is a rule for that as well or not as a fresher. Okay, so just understand, if you are just stuck with this, it's a bad choice for your technical career. You need to implement Java very immediately and then go as like, okay, server plus DB guy, not just only one person. It's a problem for your career. I'm already telling you, it's a bad choice. Fine. Now moving on further, and now server people are expected to know this thing as well. Now moving on further, guys, RDBMS is fine, relational database management system is fine, okay, but now it has gone, the world has very much projects using NoSQL databases like Mongo, Cassandra. These kind of NoSQL databases are very common these days. Okay, so I would really recommend you people to do some hands-on work on this. Even if you say in the interview ke, no, I have not worked on that, but a natural question comes ke, you are like 3 years in the IT industry. Let me tell how I think. I'm just telling you that 3 years in the IT industry, you have worked with RDBS and you don't know anything about NoSQL. You have never heard about NoSQL. That is a natural question. Where is the curiosity? It tells me the candidate is not good. He's not learning new things. He's not even Googling. Because had he googled, he would have known that there is something NoSQL. Had he had the curiosity, he would have done something to learn it. So when you say no, I don't know, it basically means the candidate is not good. No curiosity to learn, no curiosity to apply. You can tell me I don't know, but that straight away means I'm not good. Yes or no? With 3 years of experience, it's not a basic, right? Without the hungerness for learning, how will you survive in the industry? And these are basics. थोड़ा सा evolve your thinking. Freshers को it's fine, बेचारे बच्चे उनको नहीं पता है, that's fine, we can be okay. But 2 years, you're seeing world, right? You're seeing projects, you have another friend circle, you're talking to them, words come out, right? You're not dumb. So understand that. Have the basic sense of it. So even if you don't know, if you want to claim gap as experience, even as a fresher, start building some applications around it. Okay, thoda sa POC, start doing it, and it's very much useful. Now moving on further. Okay, moving on further. Messaging. Now guys, there will be some projects where kind of asynchronous message brokers will be required. ActiveMQ, Kafka, RabbitMQ. Okay, these are some asynchronous messaging brokers. So I want you people to even study about them. Why? What kind of use cases it is used for? Try to build up, especially those who are claiming gap as experience. Having knowledge is going to be better than not having it. Even you can say that I have a learning knowledge, I know this, I know that. It will give you a more value basically. Okay, fine. And then moving on further, guys, distributed caching is one of a very commonly used thing in the current world. Nothing but caching. You might be already knowing about this caching, like avoiding multiple calls to the backend system, so that to speed up the over and all processing. Now you need to understand, many people don't know these basic things. Caches can exist on the UI side, caches can exist on the server side, caches can exist on the database side as well. Okay, everybody is trying to speed up their own systems. Okay, now based on your area of expertise, a UI developer should know the value of UI cache, the server developer should know the value of server cache, DB developer should know the value of DB caching. Now when you come into server, nowadays we are staying in a microservice based world. That means maintaining the caches just in your local memory is not going to be useful. What happens? There are two services running. One request goes to this server, you have cached it. Next request goes to that server. What will you do? Yeah, that is where distributed caching comes in picture. Like across different systems, the caching area is common, and that can be implemented via Redis or a memcache kind of, or a EHcache kind of systems, where it is across the cluster. There is all that mechanisms there. Both kuch the world has gone pretty beyond. And if you are claiming gap as experience, I want you people to really know these things. It's must, because these are becoming common. This is not extraordinary. Okay, I'm not saying this is extraordinary, this is common now. Okay, fine. On top of it, guys, okay, now both for the UI and the server developer, I would really like that microservices may spend some time. Spring Boot microservices, what they are, why they are, how they work, and how you can build it up on that kind of system. You need to spend some time in learning about that. It is very must these days. Guys, बहुत वो भी, that's like very old thing now. Okay, so but still people are not very common about it. I want you people to be very flexible with all those things as well. Okay, so along with the basics, ये रखो market में, you will be able to crack very nicely. Okay, now talking about the last thing here. Okay, yes, I'll share this PPT in the end. Okay, I'll post it on my LinkedIn profile, and so you can collect it from there. Okay, now fine, moving on further, guys. Cloud technologies are becoming very common these days. Okay, cloud like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud platform. Okay, and there are many other vendors also, but these are some of the very popularly used ones. AWS by Amazon, Azure by Microsoft, Google Cloud, GCP is from Google itself. And AWS ने ना market ऐसे खा गया है guys कि it has started offering a lot of inbuilt services. This is where the world is changing now. Okay, in my project recently, we implemented a lot of these things as well. That's where I know it. Okay, AWS is offering a lot of service. Okay, because it is also a SaaS platform, service, software as a service platform. AWS is doing it. Okay, Oracle or MySQL. Okay, now these kind of bundles, it is offering like an RDS service. Okay, it is offering like a RDS service. Next, Mongo and Cassandra, for them it's a document DB as a service. Nothing but why do you want to get into maintenance of all these application softwares? We will take care of it. You just code functionally. This is what is AWS selling, guys. Okay, this is what AWS is selling, and these have really become very common these days. Okay, even Redis as a service is happening. Okay, Mongo as a service, messaging as a service also there. Nothing but whatever softwares were available, people have started giving them as a service in AWS. You pay some money and they take care of end-to-end maintenance of it behind the screen. If the server is crashing, how to have the load balancing and all that data, like retention policies and all, everything is taken care of by them. So people are going ahead for like crazy. So just understand, server people, you should know something about these things as well, because that would be the softwares which you would be working upon. Okay, there are nothing like prerequisites for AWS. You can just start learning it from anywhere basically. Okay, there is no prerequisite for AWS. Okay, yeah, AWS Lambda and all those things are part of it, nothing but giving some more control there, but it's all one bundle basically. Okay, but I'm not expecting the server guys should know everything about it. That's a DevOps related role, which know about the AWS as a service and all that. Okay, that's not our stream, but a general sense should be aware. Okay, you should be able to know ki what is what. Don't dig too much there, it is not that much required. That's a DevOps category. They have to be really expert in AWS, or AWS engineers might be there as a designation. But guys, you need to understand, a 20-member team might need only one AWS engineer. Understand the comparison. It might have 8 server developers but one AWS engineer. Market mein kiska retention, who's will be having like more job openings. You need to relate all these things before you pick up anything. Okay, you might just hear like, okay, there is less competition in AWS, chale jate. Are less competition ek hi position mein. So like, you just understand things in a logical manner as well. Common sense laga, you will know what to do, what not to do. Okay, server mein, let me tell you, we are not finding right people in UI, we are not finding right people in server. Market mein crowd is there but not quality crowd, guys. So just understand these things. Okay, crowd is there but not quality crowd. Even though, don't be scared about all the other people, nahi aata hai logo ko. You, if you be really good in whatever we are speaking, really hands on, confident about yourself, can code in these things, you'll be able to crack very nicely. Fine. Now moving on in the QA. Do we have any QA in the house, guys? Do we have any QA? Can you just type it yes? Accordingly, we'll just talk about it. Otherwise, we'll skip this part very shortly. Any QAs in the team? Okay. Quality analyst. Okay. Yeah. So just keep shooting. By the way, I'll just tell it out. QA is having multiple sections, manual and automation. Okay. Manual is like two parts again to it, UI and API. Automation is like UI automation, API automation as well. If you really are picking for a QA role, I think in 5 years of experience, you should really be good in all of these things. Okay, so that's what is expected. Okay, I see, like again, it's loading. Okay, is it back again, guys? Yes. Hello. Hello, team. Is it all good? Yeah, fine. Chalo, let's speed up then back again. Okay. So everybody in the house, okay, let's continue. We are just winding up the session, guys, very shortly. So QA resource basically. Okay, are there any QAs in the house? Are there any QAs in the house? Okay, so yes, there are a few. Good. Okay, Padmini, Satish. Yes. Okay, I don't know, these yeses are coming for the QA or is it coming for the network quality, guys? uh, Fine, but I think there are a few QA resources available. So for them, I would like to give them some value today. Okay, first of all, even as a fresher QA, okay, or as an experienced QA, I want you people to understand the test case writing is the heart of the QA. Whether you are manual or whether you are automation, you should know how to write test cases. You should know how to cover the corner cases of the system. Okay, how to write test cases, how to cover the corner cases of the system. You should be aware of these things. Okay, next, requirement understanding and impact analysis should really be good in with you people. Okay, whenever a requirement comes about functionality, you guys should be really able to like, okay, what could be the impact and where the system can break. These are like the basic requirements as a QA. Next, you should be really good in tracking. Okay, really good in tracking. I have seen like QA people are very great in tracking of the work that they do. Nothing but what credentials to use for testing, what domains, what endpoints, what request structure, what response structure. Server people have not done seen doing that, but the QA is very organized. Okay, and this is what I really like about them. So guys, this is the basic requirement. Even though as a fresher or experienced candidate, the general overall quality aspect should really be good. Okay, so writing test cases, okay, understanding project requirements, impact analysis, okay, in the tracking of the software. Okay, all these things are like basic expected and you should really be good in that. Interaction with the developers, with the product owners, it's all about that role. Okay, be good in that. Okay, next, when it gets now further into manual and automation related part. Okay, so guys, देखो अभी क्या हो रहा है, the way UI के लिए, right, people are coming only HTML CSS, some people are coming के only JavaScript. Similarly, in interview, some people are coming, okay, I can do manual but only UI. I'm not good in API. I have not done API. Guys, थोड़ा सा समझो. The more you know, the better it is. So why are you picking up only one particular role? You should have the hunger. This is your entire area. Learn it all. You will become a superstar basically. Okay, so understand manual UI testing, how to do API testing, how to do via Postman will be there. There might be some JMeter related testing also. So understand all those pieces. It's part of the QA job. And when it comes to automation, okay, when it comes to automation, so Selenium related automation is for UI. You can work with that. This is being implemented right now in my project. And even for API automation, we did some exploring with REST Assured, but right now we are using Postman based API automation. So just understand, full-fledged nature will be more good for you. But yes, right from beginning of your career, full is not required, but you should be checkpoint one over and all quality, and you should be good in manual related area. So try to have this bundle for initial job hunt. Okay, and even try to have some inputs on the API automation, API testing as well. Now what is API testing, guys? Simple. Which endpoint to call, what request to give, what responses to expect, and then you should write n number of cases to test them. Permutation and combination of input, permutations and combinations of the expectation of response back. That is what is API testing. Okay, check for the security aspect, token, cookie, all of that, basic auth, those things will come as part of your API related testing. Okay, UI मतलब browser में जाओ, ये click करो, just see how the navigation is happening. Happy case, failed case, that's UI related automation. And manual जाके everything speeds up basically. Okay, and now I want that all the people in the house even understand the value of automation. It is very much required in the current world because the project is having so many use cases. For example, guys, do you know how many features Amazon website is having right now? Facebook is having right now, huge. Every time we do a deployment, we might impact some pieces of the system. Is it possible that manually you can verify all those pieces? Not possible. What do? You automate the system, right? You write some software which is going to check whether the rest of the system is good even when you have added a new code. And that kind of, for growing systems, automation is mandatory. Life is going to become hell without automation. Okay, so guys, fine, so this is what it is. And the final thing, guys, apart from your technical skills, ownership, team playership, growth mindset, learning mindset. These are the things which we expect. Being down to earth, being humble, respecting others, not like a proud peacock, communicating with each other, not letting your ego coming in your way. These are some basic things which we look for. And I have also rejected many people. No, I don't want these people in my team. Technically very good, but I don't find them worthy here. And that's where I don't want to hire them. I don't know whether many companies might do it or not, but particularly I do it specifically for my team. I definitely do it because I have to work with them on a daily basis, and that's where we'll be doing it. Okay, fine. Yes, yes, mocking is required, right? So mocking, so when you go into unit testing related area, so as part of that, mocking is going to also come in picture there. Okay, so as part of unit testing, there is this mocking related role which will be very much coming up, like J mock it will be there, power mock it will be there. So along with unit testing that will happen, but I think the thoda sa guys get with the basic done, and then if you are having some gap, like 2 years 3 years of experience, spend some time in knowing about unit testing and mocking of the softwares. Again, the thing is, project to project people apply. It's always a good practice to apply, and that is where, guys, tomorrow. So guys, this was the basic plan for today. Okay, but tomorrow when we meet, we are going to talk about detailed technical process of the entire end-to-end project life cycle. Okay, so as part of tomorrow's session, 9:30, when we meet up, the entire technical process we are going to follow, which tools are used where, who does the designing, what do you expect out of designing, how can you contribute in the designing, what do the UI do, how the test cases are prepared, what does the server person has to do, QA person has to do, UI guy has to do, how does the integration happens, how does the AWS infrastructure will be managed, how does the QA testing will happen, how does the UAT happen, how does the go live happen, what tools and software use at every area, the technical process of the entire system we would be talking tomorrow. And practically speaking, all the three guys, again, UI, server and the QA, everybody will get a learning part if you come tomorrow as well. Again, guys, I want that only serious people to come because that's where I don't give everything in the same day, because it's like waste of my time, because you don't deserve it, and why should I give it to you? So you earn it by showing your consistency, and when you do that, life will reward you, and I'm just part of that. So this is me, Tausif Sheikh, signing out for the day, and thank you everybody. So on my LinkedIn profile, guys, you can just check it out here. This PPT or this presentation which I have, I will be uploading it in LinkedIn profile. Okay, this will be done here, and you can just go and connect here. So linkedin.com in TAUSIEFS. Okay, and so you can just visit out here, and yeah, this is my LinkedIn profile basically. I had some more plans for today. I had some sample resumes which I just wanted to give to you people. Maybe I'll just cover it in some other session, because we still need to do one more thing, guys, right? So what we did, day number 2, the session number 2, we spoke about how do you do preparation. Today we spoke about how do you use that preparation, what more to prepare, and then crack it in the interview. But the two things together, how do you use your preparation for getting interview calls, that session is still pending. Okay, where to apply, how to apply, what strategies, by that way, how do you increase the rate of getting interview calls, we will be taking one session on that as well. So then this will connect. But as part of tomorrow's session, we are going to focus primarily about the technical process of the industry, very useful for both experience as well as fresher people. So if you, yeah, you just send me a request here, because I'll be attaching it on my linkedin.in Tausif Sheikh profile. You can get it from there, and maybe I'll just share the link as part of the LT events group. So no need to rush up. You'll be finding it all at both the places. Okay. So chalo, thank you everybody, and good night. Take care of yourself. Hope the session was useful. Make the most of it, guys. Apply it in your life, and you will find the difference automatically happening. Thank you all. Take care of yourself. Bye, 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 bye.